Alright everyone, so we're on the finishing touches. Little bits and bobs, you know, here and there before it goes to maxes for paint. So we've just made a little bit of clearance as I needed to, just clean up the welds on this side. Can't get to the bulk hard yet, we're going to do that when the engine's out very shortly. We need to get on with this aluminium shroud around here, because obviously dirt and mud's going to get on there. We have cleaned up the flip front as much as I possibly can, and just given it a quick coat of can primer. But that's all I can do really until it gets to max, really, you know, so we can finish up all the edges. And it's easier in sort of one single colour to see where, you know, it needs particular work. You know, it clearly needs some work in that area there with filler and maybe a bit of beating even. We'll see what Max can do with that. And I do need to seam seal round that area, but I'm going to do that this weekend along with these, which means taking the loom out. But before I take the loom out, I want to do the OBD plug. So there's always little bits. So the first thing we've been just done now is we've welded on nuts. The relevant places, I've already done this one here. So I've welded on the nut onto these stainless hinges, and on this side the nut is going to go on the actual sort of receiving hinge. So we've just tigged that onto there as well. So a nice little job for the TIG. So very sweet. It's very, very hot at the moment, so we'll just leave that to cool down. And that means then these nuts have got like a locking nut on them, that's fine. So all we've got to do is just put the two bolts in. It's much easier, and it's a real difficulty trying to get to everything down there. So that's another little job ticked off the list. But then we're going to fit this front end. As you can see, there's lots of dimples and stuff that you can't see normally. And then we're going to pop this front end on and see what the clearances are for this air filter, and make this air filter shroud out of some aluminium. So that's our next job on the list. So let's let it cool down. Thus, have a cup of tea. Yes, cup of tea time. Hit me up some merch. And then what we'll do is let the camera go darker when it's dark. That's great. Great auto settings. Yeah, fit the flip front, fit the bonnet, see what clearance we've got for that shroud, and make a shroud. Okay, so as usual we started off with a basic concept with a piece of card, you know, shaped it to what I wanted it, cut it out of a piece of aluminium, and just shaped that in as well. So we then drilled and tapped a couple of holes on our big bar that goes up there. It's a very light piece of ali, so that's just fine. It's obviously a bit floppy at the moment, so what we're going to check is we're going to shut it, make sure we've got clearances on the bodywork. Might just do a little trimming on the side there, and maybe a bit of shaping. And make sure we've got clearances on the steering wheel, and that's obviously pretty critical. And then we might need to just shape it away from the wheel a little bit more. And then on that far side we're going to put a little plate down the side to strengthen it, but also protect it a little bit from obviously the muck coming round as well there. Okay, so there's our main outer piece. We've just curled that edge round a little bit just for clearance for the flip front, and then we just want to make that end piece just to protect it a little bit more and give it some strength, because obviously it's just flixing around. So there's our cut piece cut. Let's get the welder out. We'll use a couple of test pieces just to get our settings dialed in, and then we'll just do a few. We don't really need to weld all the way around there. We'll just do a few, 3 or 4 just to hold it, and do it on the inside so no one sees it. No, everyone will see it no matter what, because it's on video, but there we go. Can only try my best, can't I? So let's weld it. Right, well, I think that looks a bit better. The welding is shocking. 2 main issues. 1, I suck at welding, and 2, the my filler rod is huge. It's for like, you know, 3mm ali, and this is like 0.5mm or something, tiny. So to melt the filler rod, you have to have the amps high. That was melting holes in this. I was just chasing holes. So it's pretty ugly, but it'll do the job, and it hopefully should clear the wheel even on full compression. So that's good. We've got it pretty low at the moment. We're pretty close to the bump stop already. So we've got no issues with clearance there. And if we just, yeah, I'm pretty happy with that actually. It's exactly as I wanted it. So that's good. Let's just put this back up, and we should then be able to see how it looks. Right, and that's how it looks behind there. So hopefully the headlight bowl will just fit around that, and if it doesn't, we just tweak it down a little bit. It is a little bit wobbly, but we'll have to see how much we care about that. What I might just do is run a little tab off the back there, onto that plate there to hold it on. Maybe. But basically fresh air comes in here. We might try and open this up a little bit more in there and into the air filter. And there's also fresh air in the wheel arch. It's just I don't want it to be soaking wet obviously and chucking mud all over it. So that's protected it nicely. So on to the next fiddly little job, whatever that might be. Rear valance exhaust cutout. That's what's next. Right, so we need some sort of way of having our OBD plug a little bit more, you know, held on. So I want it about here so it's easy to plug something into. There's our cardboard aided design template, gonna go something like that. And then we made a metal version, 2mm steel so it's strong enough, a couple of extra plates because of the OEM clips on here, and we've got a little cutout to match it nicely. So that will clip on, put it the right way around, listen for the click, like the OEM fitment it should. Oh, like that. Going nowhere. And then we've done 2 riv nuts, thank you Noah for them. Some stainless bolts, a couple of holes in the dash, put the washer on the right way around. And then we can remove it if we need to get to those relays, which hopefully we won't, or if we just need to take it out for some reason to get access, or I've put it somewhere where there's going to be something needed that I don't know about yet. Beauty of riv nuts. There we go. So let's just wind them in temporarily. And then that's not going anywhere, and from underneath you can't see it sat in the car, but if you have a little poke underneath you should be able to just see it. So we can clink, clickety click, bloopity bloop, and we can talk to the computers in it. We're in. Right, on to the next job. Thank you to the cameraman Noah. Beer time. Supported but not sponsored by Flat Tire. Dry hopped, full flavoured, never let you down. Please stop it. Kicked out of my own shed. What you do for friends, eh? Best friends, of course. No, the best friend would kick me out. The astute ones out there, mini lovers, know that there's an exhaust cutout usually here. It's the old side exit. So we just zip, 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 zip. A little bit of plate in there, bit of primer, and then she's the old smooth valance now.
Yeah, that's 2.
And Noah says he's 2. Other little bits we might want to be looking at. I'm not very happy about the gap there, so we might just grind out the holes in the hinges.
Mentally, I'm 2.
Yeah, that's going to be a sound caption for the rest of the series.
Maybe 1.5.
That lovely grey hair. Right, I'm lying on the floor. Let's do other things.
Mentally, I'm 2.